dumb posts from some Americans that obviously have a few screws loose. Now, it's not every American that does, but it's honestly been so many Americans that there's an entire Reddit thread dedicated to posting our L's. I would like to say I am not innocent of saying dumb stuff as well. That's the Colombian flag, right? Well, I've said some pretty dumb stuff incredibly recently even, and I take full responsibility for that. I'm learning, and hopefully I say less of those things in the future. But if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. If you guys are returning viewers, welcome back. We'll be diving into a lot of diabolical posts from some Americans that just had a few screws loose, okay? If you guys would be so generous as to hitting that like button and getting us to 1 million subscribers by subscribing, I would greatly appreciate that, and I would be forever in your debt. Also, we are gonna start streaming live on twitch.tv/JamesBraygang. You guys tell me what to watch and look at, and I'll check it out. So that will also be in the description down below. Europe is cooked. No wonder why everyone is trying to get into America. You can only imagine what the comment section had to say about this. Why is showing the speed limit bad? Seems useful. Is the answer something, something, something freedom? Pretty much. Oh, by the way, did you know that we recently just cut a diabolical amount of money out of our education system in the United States? We can clearly see the results of that here. Pretty sure the car does the same in the US. The beeping when going over the speed limit might be another thing, but okay. For all my fellow Americans watching that, is this true? Because I don't think my car beeps when it goes over the speed limit. I mean, mine has never done that, but I think it depends on the type of vehicle you're driving. Merc shows the speed limit too. I can carry on anyway, too. I forgot to mention my Merc is a 2011 estate and happily goes about its business without regard to that particular advisory screen option. To be clear, I follow speed limits happily. I don't have that option enabled. It flashes up on the screen too often. That is, it doesn't do anything. Seriously, I feel like this is a new feature because all of the cars that I've owned have never beeped when I went over the speed limit. That's had to be a change that's happened in the last like maybe 5-ish years. The last time I had my own car was about 5 years ago. So I guess that makes sense. Being in Korea, I use public transportation, so I don't really have to worry about any of that. Yep, my car does that. I can decide if I want to obey it. I genuinely think I'm learning something new from this post. I did not know that cars beeped when you went over the speed limit. That's, again, not something my car has ever done. Any of the cars I've ever owned have never done that, but they all do show the speed limit, so that should be a normal thing. I'm not sure if the point here was the beeping or was the speed limit thing, but clearly seems like it was definitely the beeping and the speed limit thing. So obviously the cars all show the speed limit. That's nothing new. Every vehicle does that, but the beeping when going over the speed limit, I literally don't know any vehicle that I've ever been in 5 years ago that did that, but that definitely has to be a newer thing. Statistically, 2025 was the biggest year for US citizens moving out via retirement, immigration, etc. So interestingly, everyone is trying to get out of America. Yep. That is true. I haven't been in America for a while, to be honest, but you know, I'll be back eventually. It's just, you know, it's insane right now. But the comments we've been seeing about the beeping feature of the cars going over the speed limit, I can tell you this. Now, in South Korea, the cars do that a lot. Like if you do go over the speed limit here in South Korea, the cars do beep. Like they will go off, they'll go crazy. But in the States, I noticed that was not a normal thing. Like the cars did not do that. Now, the cars recently, all the computerized cars and whatnot definitely do that now, but they did not do that 5 years ago consistently. Maybe they did, I don't know, but I just know the cars that I've owned did not do that. Everyone is trying to get into America. I tend to find most people are even knocking it off as a tourist destination right now. The ones that are going get funny looks. But yeah, some cars show the speed limit when driving if they have a sat nav. Now, my car doesn't, but I use Google Maps, famously American, to navigate. Guess what? It shows the speed limit and tells you when you exceed it. It's actually a useful feature. It's funny because I used Apple Maps when I would navigate and stuff driving in the United States. And I wonder if Apple Maps now has a feature where it like lets you know that you're going over the speed limit. I could imagine that it does now, but I don't know. Also, it's no surprise that people are leaving the United States in droves. Have you not seen the state of affairs of the United States? Have you seen the recent tweet, or my bad, Truth Social post that Trump put out there? That's the current state of affairs of the United States right now. Yeah, that's our fearless leader. Very fun. Countries I'd go to before America. Italy, Spain, Japan, every other country that's a sovereign state and a member of the UN its own right. I can't blame you. Honestly, tourism has like completely tanked in the United States. People obviously still travel to the United States, but not as much as they were previous to all of the shenanigans that took place in the last 365 plus days, actually. We have this lovely post here, and it says, of course, Jefferson had written about anti-slavery, but he was a fucking realist and knew independence from the British would need the southern states. So don't be a nudge about it. We're still the first country to outlaw slavery. And the responding comment underneath that says, no, you didn't. The UK outlawed slavery 33 years before you. Then this next bit right here says, all men are created equal, certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And the comment on the bottom says, all men are created equal with certain inalienable rights. And then this next image here says, of course, Jefferson had over 100 slaves. And then, of course, it refers back to what we saw earlier. It says, but we don't have to talk about that. Irony is so glaring, I'm almost blind. Okay, insane. Let's see what the comments had to say. Slavery is allowed in the U.S. Constitution and practiced widely through the justice system. Not surprising. Guess they didn't realize where that Underground Railroad led to, a country where it had been abolished since 1834. Canada. Yeah, saying that the United States was the first country on the planet to eliminate slavery is a genuinely brain dead take. Also, they didn't actually outlaw slavery. It doesn't count if there are exceptions to the law against slavery. Very true. I'm pretty sure it was Haiti. Why do they openly lie? Genuine question. Why does anybody lie? To comfort our souls. Technically, slavery has always been illegal within England, though that wasn't settled law until Somerset versus Stuart in 1772. Interesting. I'm learning new things every day. I did not know that at all. I'm not really well versed in England's history and stuff. Very interesting bit though. I did not know that. Ah, yes. The country that fought a war against a country that had banned slavery, Mexico, in order to steal land to put slaves on, was the first to ban slavery. Fucking moron. And like I said, we're gonna see an uptick in takes like the original post that we are responding to as the years go by, because the education system in the United States is virtually non-existent. I mean, they're writing off prestigious universities because they apparently are too woke, and they're reforming the education systems in ways that literally just teach slop. Like they're stripping the education system down to a level where people lack the tools that they need to succeed in the world. And I think that's how you're able to get away with the leader that we currently have running the country. You need to have a large body of people who are not educated. That's where leaders like the one we currently have tend to thrive the most. But if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear you guys' opinions. This next post is pretty interesting. It says, we don't want any business from Canada. In case you haven't noticed, we're trying to keep inflation down. You guys coming here and buying stuff raises demand, which raises prices. Stay home. Ah, gee willikers. Another brain dead take. I can only imagine what the comments had to say about this. This caption was actually underneath this post, and it says, this is funny because it's the opposite of what Trump's issue with trading with Canada has always been. He and most of his followers think Canada's ripping them off, and it's because we buy less from the US than they buy from us, i.e. a trade deficit. They think that's us taking free money from them. Every once in a while, you'll meet an American willing to articulate the belief that it's the other way around. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the comment section. Our first comment says, okay, will do. Enough said. Can't blame you. Message received. Again, can't blame you. W take. Logic doesn't play into Amaga's decision pattern. Trump has proclaimed that Canada itself and trade with them is bad. When they're too stupid to even follow Trump's deranged utterances, they'll have to concoct a reason in their head that ends up in the same place as Trump's proclamations, even if their stated reasons contradicts Trump's. Only the end result, total obedience to Trump, matters. What's insane to me is that there is an entire cult that will defend literally every single action that he's done, no matter what. They die on the craziest hills, and it's insane. Because I know that when people are defending some of his actions, they look crazy defending some of those actions. But to them, they don't see that. So yeah, MAGA is a cult, and the world definitely despises MAGA. But I think that's the beauty of that cult. They think that the world loves them. Way ahead of you there, bud. Nobody wants to deal with the United States right now, besides a particular country. But we won't get into that. I would pay so much money to watch this person explain and try to explain this to an economist. Oh, so you would also pay to be a part of the audience witnessing the humiliation ritual, because I would, because that would be very entertaining. Yes, Europours drown themselves in American culture while spending their time shit-talking America. Meanwhile, we fly around the moon and kick ass half a world away. You're increasingly irrelevant. And I think this feels like projection because it seems like the United States is becoming increasingly irrelevant as far as people feeling the need to get on their knees and beg for a relationship with the United States. We've clearly proven that we are very unreliable. And although we do have our hands in many pots, the globe is finding ways to work around that. American culture is pretty much protecting pedophiles, dropping bombs, and school shootings at this point. And I want to disagree with you, but unfortunately, that's what it's boiled down to. And we've shown that we don't care. Everybody at the top is very obviously corrupt. Not everybody, but most people. And there's nothing the American people can do about that. There's nothing the globe can do about it, apparently, besides distance themselves and trade amongst themselves and associate with themselves and exclude the United States. But for the American citizens, there's nothing we can do. Does he know they're using a European-made spacecraft to fly around the moon? My guess is he doesn't know that. Not surprising. Wait until the person learns how many Europores work with NASA. That man would shit his pants if he found out. If we're so irrelevant, could you stop talking to / at us, please? No, of course not. That's not gonna stop. We have to gloat. We have to brag about our L's to other people. Whose ass are they kicking, though? That's what I'd like to know. Living in Delulu land, it's rough, but it's very beneficial for the people living in Delulu land. Welcome to the United States of America, where most of the citizens, if not all, are living in Delulu land. Someone tell this guy that if they landed on the moon, it was because of a German scientist and using German technology, and that the technology used by today's Artemis mission is still based on German liquid fuel tech. And kicking ass today? Isn't the US the one who came begging Europe to join the fight in the Strait of Hormuz because they couldn't handle the situation by themselves? And Europe smartly said, we decline. Everybody in Europe was like, no, we're not doing that. That was a completely preventable conflict that you got yourself involved in. So the United States is riding this one alone. You guys let me know how you guys feel about that. So much chaotic shiznit has happened in the first quarter of this year, and I am not excited to see what's going to happen in the second quarter of this year. I keep saying it's insane, but is it not? This post here says, we've known each other for like 5 years. He still lives all the way in Georgia for college. This is usually how our texts go. He takes things too personally, and I like to fuck with him. LOL. Came from the original poster of some random post on Reddit. And underneath that, it says, which Georgia? And underneath that, the responding comment says, America, Georgia, numbnuts. I absolutely love it when my fellow Americans think that the states that were named after countries are the original thing, and certainly not named after the countries that existed hundreds if not thousands of years prior to that state in the United States receiving that name in the first place. The United States is incredibly young, so chances are all of those states are derivative from the current countries that have existed for forever. Read the comments under an Instagram post where someone had visited the Chronicles of Georgia sculpture and said it was built to commemorate 3,000 years of Georgian statehood and 2,000 years of Christianity in Georgia. The number of numbnuts being wrong, Georgia became a state in 1788, not really 3,000 years, was about what I expected. Hi. That's got to be frustrating to look at. Literal historical evidence that there has been in another country, the original country that's existed for thousands of years. People online from the United States just saying, no, Georgia's only been around since 1788. Huh? It tells you everything you need to know when they insult you and can't even spell the insult correctly. Oh yeah, 1000%. I mean, the second you see some shit like that, you don't need to take them serious ever again. I mean, oh my God. If you're gonna insult me, at least have your spelling in check. Joseph Steele was an American revolutionary from Georgia, Atlanta, and a former president of the NEA, the largest labor union in the US, while Martin Luther Kingashvili was a Georgian clergyman from Gori. That is very simple to remember and differentiate the two. And also a new piece of information I've just now learned. I always wonder, why do Americans use PM and AM? The 24-hour format is a lot easier. I guess it's just easier because of the way your country is using it. Here in Europe, everyone is using it. And then the responding comment to that is maybe because our country is way bigger than y'all's, it's not as relevant as having to switch time zones. I hear this L take so many times, my head literally hurts. Well, let's just look at what the comments have to say, because the comments obviously had a lot to say. That single brain cell in that person's head is doing a lot of work. Give him some credit, people. It's like an AI model running on a CPU. Yo, disrespectful, brother. That's creative. That's insane. As an American who has said some really stupid things, I'm always surprised how stupid other Americans can get, and they don't even realize it. See, that's what I'm saying. I've said some incredibly stupid shit recently. Here's an example. I started listening to Green Day when I was little. I was maybe 7, 8 years old. I thought they were an American band. And then I found out years later, I'm like, oh, they're from the UK. Now, I genuinely don't know why I said this, but you guys definitely packed me up in the comments. I think I made a response in the following video, but yeah, that was a very recent dumb thing I could have definitely researched and debunked immediately. But I ran with that, and you guys called me out, so thanks. And throughout my entire lifetime, I mean, I'm about to be 31 this year. Damn. I've said some diabolically stupid shit, and you guys have seen me say it. I don't know what the original poster is on about. I grew up in Europe. We use both formats. You already learn with AM, PM when you're a kid, because that's the actual number on the clock. We didn't say PM, but we said 4 afternoon, which is essentially the same thing. That's interesting. Also, did not know that. I guess to some degree, I kind of did know that both formats were used throughout Europe, but ultimately, you know, every country at least uses the 24-hour clock throughout Europe for sure. But again, if you guys disagree with that as far as the usage of the alternate clock, let me know in the comments down below. But if you guys use both, right, the AM PM clock and then the 24-hour clock, let me know in the comments down below. What the fuck does time zones have to do with time notation? You're gonna have to ask the original poster on this one. In the UK, I would say more people than not use the 12-hour clock. In spoken English, to me at least, it feels more natural to say 3 o'clock rather than 1500 hours. We don't, however, refer to the 24-hour clock as military time, but both systems are perfectly valid. The response to the original poster is, of course, still meaningless. Well, verdict's in, y'all. Let's move on to our next post. As an Irish American, I despise the English, but my goodness, the people they put in charge in Ireland are insane. And that comment is in response to this Young Americans for Liberty post, which says, Ireland launched a campaign against greedy landlords with rent control, 52% tax, no deductions, no evictions. They succeeded, and landlords left the market in droves. Now there are 716 homes available to rent in the entire country and 150 queued for this one bed yesterday. I absolutely hate when any American does the, as a German American, as an Irish American, as an Indian American, as a Chinese American, and then inserts opinion about things happening in a country that they're not from there. Like, oh yeah, because my ethnicity is this thing, my nationality is also this thing as well. And that's not how that works. An Irish American who has never once visited Ireland. No doubt. Oh, you think Americans travel? Well, since the events in the United States over the past year, they've probably traveled more than ever because a lot of Americans are trying to get the fuck out of America, rightfully so. But you think historically Americans have traveled? Like that? Most Americans don't. Contrary to what the statistics say, most Americans do not. They like staying in their little bubbles and, you know, yeah, that's why we have a lot of these dumbass posts. As an Irish American, I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm talking about. Begorra. Sounds about right. Fuck has the English got to do with this? Funny, I was wondering the same thing. Irish person here, these figures are wildly wrong. There are over 1,200 places to rent in Dublin right now, some of which are over €1,800 a month for a black mold-infested studio where you can make your dinner from bed if the oven door isn't stopped by opening fully by the, you know, bed frame. The greedy landlords in the country can get in the sea, and the meager rent controls aren't going far enough. And then there's a link right here for anyone who wants to have a look. Edit. Also, these Yanks misrepresenting figures for their own political point scoring can get in the sea too. Well, we like to botch stats to fit our points a lot of times. That's just the way things roll, I guess. That's just kind of our vibe. We like making statistics that make us feel big and bad. Okay, that's kind of just, we want to feel tough. Lying about the figures to score political points is the most American thing there is outside of bombing random countries for oil. It's only going to get worse. I promise it's only going to get worse. I wish that this could all turn around, but unfortunately, we've dug ourselves in a hole that is way too deep to dig ourselves out of. We are going to need a lot of help. And it starts with, maybe a new head of the snake. As an American, I can tell you that most Americans have no clue what is going on in their own country. Most people in their mid-20s to 35 can afford to buy a home. Average studio, 1 bedroom in the US costs $1,700 a month. 2 bedrooms, $2,000 a month. This is average. Where the work is, add another $1,000 to that. Where I live, 1 bedroom is about $2,200, while a 2 bedroom is close to $3,300 a month. It's insane. Most properties are being bought by corporations and making the demand higher than it needs to be. We can't build homes fast enough. We can't build apartments fast enough, but somehow our birth rate is dropping. I wonder if the two are somewhat connected. Now I'm just rambling. Everything is turning to shit here. By the way, I love Ireland when I visited for the weekend. Lovely country and great hospitality in Ballycotton. State of affairs of the United States is absolutely wicked right now. I mean, the world is basically threatened by the United States acting like an absolute wild card. So they're like, you know what? We don't need to be threatened like this anymore. We're going to just cut the United States off and they can fend for themselves. I do think at some point in the future, we can basically get ourselves back into good graces. But now every single country has a contingency plan on how to deal with the United States. It's almost like that Justice League movie. I think it was called Justice League Doom, where Batman had a blueprint on how to kill every single Justice League member. That's pretty much what every country has to do for America. How can we pack up America if they ever get this crazy again? Okay. Again, America has its hands in many pots, so it might take a little longer for us to feel those effects, but it's actually crazy. Just like the commenter was saying, most Americans have no idea what's happening right now. They know that their lives are more difficult. They know that things are expensive, but they don't know why, because they don't care to look into why. And around them, things are actively changing by the day. The cost of food is insane right now. The cost, like I said, like this commenter said, for housing is abysmal, and the job market is wicked. People are getting fired left and right, and a lot of people are getting paid next to nothing. So the economy's shit, cost is way too high. Then you have an administration that is outwardly lying to the American people, saying, hey, everything's great. It's better than it's ever been. America is finally great. The greatest it's ever been. It's not the greatest it's ever been. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but yeah, a lot of Americans are scrambling to collect whatever coin they have and travel outside the United States, at least for a little bit. As an Irishman, we have not punished the landlords anywhere near enough. Seems like the landlords are running a monopoly out there, man. They're skyrocketing the prices of the living spaces and providing little to literally nothing out there for their tenants. So the tenants have to live in abysmal conditions, and they make a bunch of money off of them, which is horrible. This post was diabolical, as it says, if you can't pay a living wage, don't open a restaurant. And, the center of this post says, I'm way too fucking European for this shit. And then underneath that, it says, stop spreading this bullshit. European waiters depend on tips. Bitch, swear. Now I'm going to ask you guys this directly. Do European waiters depend on tips? We're about to get this answer in the comment section very soon. Even when you don't tip, they live off wages, not of hope. That's exactly why the U.S. tipping culture is off scale nowadays, with tips of even 20% of the bill. The tipping culture in the United States, I will say this until my heart stops beating, is out of control. Tipping should exclusively just be a show of appreciation if you have the coin and you want to do that. It is not a silent demand. And the system in the United States is so jacked up that corporations get away with paying service workers less than minimum wage because of the possibility of them earning tips, yada, yada, right? It's gotten to a point where the service is very lackluster and they still expect a tip from you. If I show up to work every day on time and I don't do anything out of the ordinary, just my job, I get a regular paycheck. Now, if I stay after the hours I was slotted to work and my job offers overtime, guess what I get? I get overtime because I worked over the slotted time I was slotted to work. So how would that be any different for tipping culture, right? You do extra to get extra, but people want you to pay extra because, oh, the poor corporations don't pay us much. So can you please tip us, please? Now, I did mention in an earlier video, I like to tip, but I like to tip for good service. I don't like tipping for bad service. Ha ha ha. Pull the other one. It's got bells on it. That's diabolical. Digital tipping feels contradictory to me from Germany. A tip should be a direct gesture of thanks that bypasses the formal system and goes straight to the person who earned it. Which is literally what I was saying. When you get good service and they do such a great job and you want to show appreciation to that server because that's the server that has been getting you your food, your drinks, having the conversation with you, making you feel very welcome and comfortable, then the tip should go to that service worker as a show of appreciation that they did a wonderful job. They went above and beyond. You really appreciated the experience, right? Outside of how they actually get paid. It's crazy. The restaurant industry in particular has gotten to a point where the tips that are intended to go to the service worker have to get split with the entirety of the restaurant. So if you tip a service worker, their boss collects the money and they're like, okay, the cooks get this, the fucking drivers get this, and then the cleaning people get this. And I'm like, bruh, but they weren't the ones that were dealing with the family. I mean, I know the cooks cooked the food, but the server got the food to the people. The real piss take is places in America that have a 20% service charge and then ask for a 20% tip. That's another thing I was gonna bring up. There are places that have an automatic gratuity included in the price, or I guess an automatic gratuity slapped onto the end of your bill, and then they ask for a tip on top of that. And I'm like, oh, brother, I'm already paying extra. It's already there. I paid the extra. Like, what you need more for? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're getting a little greedy. All right, you're getting a little greedy. Yeah, fuck that. Tips in my region often got called drink geld or drinking money. It's so the staff can enjoy a few drinks after their shift, not make the difference between feeding themselves and starvation. And that's my point entirely. My goal when I go out to eat is not to pay somebody's fucking rent. It's to enjoy my meal, right? And if the service is good, it's to show some appreciation and go like, hey, thank you so much. Here's some money, right? Now, I do tip pretty big whenever I do tip sometimes, but it's all a show of appreciation and it's not a forced thing. I'm like, I genuinely really appreciate this. Thank you so much. Here you go. Also, it's because I did not have an understanding of how the tipping system worked in the United States for a long time, and I wound up just not tipping in general, no matter how good or bad the service was when I was younger. So I make up for it by tipping bigger whenever I can. It's been a while. Korea doesn't do tips, by the way, so I have not tipped out here. Except they don't. They have a whole system figured out in every European country where the service workers do not have to rely on tips. Unless there's some shady shit going down, for the most part, they don't have to rely on tips. The biggest pet peeve for me when I first came to the USA was the little suggestion for tips at the bottom of the receipt. It was 12% and upwards, or automatically 15% gratuity added to your total if your table was a party of 6+. This was back in 2010. I asked one of my mates from the uni who worked part-time at a local restaurant and was told she only got paid a flat $20 per shift, and the rest would be from her tips. Basically, to sum all of this up, being a server in the United States is basically being a house slave. That's pretty much what that is. You're a house slave and people feel bad for you and they give you money so you can pay your little rent or whatever. And corporations get away with it because they're like, oh, well, here's a CYA clause where we say we pay minimum wage if they don't get the proper amount of tips, but there really isn't a paper trail to confirm or deny that shit. They can put something together, and a lot of restaurants don't even do that. They don't even do that. They're like, oh yeah, so you'll be making $20 and the rest of your money will come from tips. Why is their job not paying them a livable wage? Or why is the job not paying them minimum wage? Let's talk about that. We are proud to only cut meat from the USA. There is a huge difference in Mexican beef and USA beef. We don't mind telling you that USA beef is much better. And then you see in this picture a slew of red meat, and then the label, it zoomed in here on half of the image. And of course, the comment section was jumping for joy. USA beef wouldn't be legal to sell in most European countries. Absolutely. Okay. Different standards. I covered a video already addressing the chemicals that we allow in our food and versus the chemicals that are allowed and banned throughout Europe. And it's night and day. And also, our food administration is cooked. Only the best added hormones and chemicals. All of our stuff has Tons of hormones, tons of chemicals and preservatives. I'll say this, some of our stuff can last for 1,000 years because of our chemicals. All right, that's not fair. USA beef is perfectly fine. It's the best way to obtain antibiotics without a prescription. Life hack? Hey, that's a nice little way to secure some health care, man. Antibiotics, you need antibiotics? Yeah, again, buy some of the meat, buy some of our produce. We got tons of antibiotics inside the produce that we sell and whatnot. Yeah, hormones and antibiotics are a sign of quality. It can't be compared to shitty pasture-fed Mexican beef. Obviously sarcasm, but somebody probably read that and was like, yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. How exactly does one harvest a steak? Always thought that term was reserved for plants, and I haven't met the steak tree yet. That's what I'm saying. How we harvesting steaks? We probably got secret hidden meat trees in Area 51. Maybe that's what they're hiding from the public. Steak trees. I'll stick with Scotch beef, thank you very much. American beef wouldn't pass food safety standards here. Even my cat would probably give it a wide berth. Our food doesn't have the best reputation, but it has a reputation. Anyways, what did you guys think of that? Let me know in the comments down below. What is the craziest thing one of us Americans has said to you on the internet or in person? And how would you respond to half the shit that we just saw in this video today?